Right, here we are with a man who needs no introduction. He's also from down under. Eddie Benjamin, such a pleasure, mate.
Pleasure to be here. How are you?
I'm good, bro.
Are you
I'm
good?
good. It's nice to be here together, and we were talking a little bit off camera. I mean, obviously, both of us from down under, both of us brothers with long hair, which is a very hard thing to find. I've got to start by asking, when did you start growing that beast out there?
I have no idea. I have a crazy relationship with my hair. I feel like I've gone through phases where I just cut it. I've had shaved head. I've had a
You've
bunch
done
of
the shave?
I have so many looks that no one's yet found, and there's a Facebook online that there's some photos on. No one, maybe a few people found it, but it's on a completely different. I had a mohawk, reverse mohawk. My friend like drew dicks in my head one time. Like one time we were going to school for the school shoot, and we like were carving shit in our hair. I don't know how long I've been growing this for.
Really?
I actually have no idea.
See, I've consistently had long hair since age 7.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was one of those guys that was like, you know what, I'm going to commit to the bit. As I mentioned, Aussie, you've found yourself here. That's a big jump, bro. That's a big jump. When did you realize that you wanted to make that move?
Oh, God. I think as soon as I was in preschool, I was just like, what is this?
Yeah.
I was just utterly confused as to why we were all in a line in this environment that is meant to depress us. I knew what was happening early, so like I was just like, by the time I was 15, I was so utterly depressed in school and working on music so much that I literally just one day said, I was like, I'm gonna go to Berkeley and just do this 5 summer day camp, and I got signed on that trip. I just
Wow.
just ignored everyone. I was just like, I hated everything to do with anything that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right, totally.
Which-
I get that.
You know, I don't understand.
You set your mindset on it early, though,
Very.
because, you know, you take it back and you think back to all the grinding that you were doing back home, the jazz clubs, the this, the this, this. Like, you kind of knew that the trajectory that you were taking it and maybe in a way felt limited in what you could do, right?
I mean, I think there's like a narrative that people like to have, like where you're from, it feels closed. But like, honestly, bro, I had a fucking phone.
Yeah.
I was like, Dad, I'm gonna film some shit.
Yeah.
And it took 5 videos. I paid companies to post me. Like, people don't understand what you think it just happens. Like, I started playing when I was 11, so I started quite late, but I was listening to music so much. And I remember maybe at 11, 12, I saw Prince play, I saw him slap a bass. I was like, that's how I want to protrude my energy out into the world and exist like that. And yeah, when I was like 15, I was like, I'm putting some videos out of me playing. This is, you just have to make it happen.
Yeah.
I was not going to take no for an answer in any realm. Got bullied lots at school. Now that's not the case.
And what, those bullies hit you up now and want free tickets to the gigs?
Of course.
That's how it goes, bro. It's a little satisfying, you know what I mean?
It's satisfying, but it's also like, if you do it for that, you won't ever feel that. And so
Right.
like, you really just like, you feel sorry for them.
Mhm.
That's the truth. I feel sorry. I hope they find what they love. But yeah, definitely there's people who give you whack energy when you're just like doing your thing.
Well, especially because, and this is something that people from down under would understand, right? It's like, you know, there's a mentality there, and you kind of, you're in this box in a way, right? And I'm not, you know, obviously shading home and where I'm from, because I love it more than anything. It's the best place on earth. But it's like, a lot of people, you know, you're born there, you die there, right?
Mhm.
It's like the thought of going internationally just seems so far away from a lot of people. The world of entertainment, the world of Sony Music, Epic Records, like that just seems like such a foreign dream. But for some people, the 2 people sitting there in front of you right now, can kind of see that, you know, in the future. And was it always LA for you? Like, was that always, or was it just like anywhere where I can play?
Stadiums, music, albums, the best.
Yeah.
Where is that? I was just in New York 2 days ago. They were there for a sec.
Mhm.
Now I'm here. You know, like, I don't know if fucking anything exists. Like, the concept of LA, I wasn't even there. I was just like, I'm gonna die, so I have to get this energy out. And I just knew.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I have language to describe what I felt or what I kind of knew, but maybe it's complete and utter delusion. Who knows?
I don't think it's
works too.
delusional, because it worked out.
Yeah, but maybe I've definitely been in some situations or social situations where I've said some things and people are like very freaked out by my perspective. Family. I was talking to my cousin who's a fusion scientist. He has a fucking scholarship at one of the best schools, and he was like, just honestly a bit freaked out about how I go about life. He's like, aren't you afraid of like getting humble? I'm like, no, everyone loses.
Right.
You get stabbed.
Right.
You fall to the ground and cry. That's going to happen to me. It's going to happen to you. All my heroes that I worship. If you just accept that, it's okay. You're good.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Oh no, you have to have that mentality. You have to know that, you know, it's not always going to be the best thing in the world, but those are the experiences, and those are the things that you, I mean, as an artist, can chuck into your tunes.
Yes. Yes.
We'll get to the music and the music creation very soon, because obviously it's very important. But I want to take it back. I mentioned the jazz clubs in Sydney.
Let's go into it.
What was that like, bro? Because, like, I mean, Sydney's a beautiful, beautiful city. I was there recently. Is big jazz scene?
No.
No.
Not particularly.
You found it,
a
though.
little bit. I found it. I mean, you know, jazz is... What is jazz, right? Everyone wants to define jazz. If you listen to Miles Davis, he'll tell you what he thinks jazz is, and it's... I can't even say it because it's a lot to say. Jazz, for me, was just an attitude of raw expression. I got bored of diatonic music, and I just went into that really young, and I just loved the rush of improvising. Mm-hmm. Very important word is improvising.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what I love to do that in shows. I want to bring that back to the big stage of entertainment, is improvising. And I think that's what jazz means to me. And yeah, I was fucking playing in burlesque shows and strip clubs when I was on upright, like fucking as a 13-year-old. Wow. But I just loved it so much. I was getting paid $50 a show.
Wow. I
remember I was like I was working at a drug courier. Like I would go drug courier, Jesus Christ, like a pharmacist.
Okay.
And I would, well, I mean that's another story, yes, the drug part. But no, this was legal drugs, and I would deliver them to older people who needed them, and I was getting paid like $10 an hour. And I remember this club, Lazy Bones. I don't know if you've heard of it. They called me and they were like, "We want your band to like come and play twice a week." Wow. That was like $100 a week. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. I get to play music for money.
Yeah, but it's more than money. Like,
of course.
If I was you, I'd be doing that stuff for free. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
I was.
Yeah,
like, I couldn't give a fuck. I was like, my whole world shifted, and like, since that first little bit of confidence, I just like don't listen to anything unless it feels right. You know.
And what did you learn during that time? Because, you know, a lot of the initial things that you do in your career is where you learn the most, right? So like what are your takeaways from, you know, the jazz clubs that now you're implementing on tour with JB? Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah. Again, improvising. I remember these motherfuckers, like we were playing like maybe 4th or 5th show, and like I saw these like 2 men like talking to each other, and I just like did a backflip because it just like I was like, look at me, motherfucker, and the whole arena lit up. But it was an improvised moment,
right?
And I think that's what that taught me. That's nothing to do with music. That's a physical expression of energy. But that mindset, that attitude, that fuck you, I'm gonna play what I need to hear. It's just how I go about life.
Yeah.
All my heroes go about it like that, and they're the best. And like that's how you can offer yourself to someone in the most real and beautiful way, is just by actually being yourself.
Yep. And it's hard. You know, it's hard to actually be yourself when you're on stage in front of thousands of people. But obviously you have that charisma that carries, but then also the confidence. Where'd you find that confidence? How did you become capable of getting on stage in front of 10,000 people and, you know, want to be able to backflip? Because, you know, a lot of people would love to be able to do that, but just don't have the inner confidence.
I think there's two things. There's a logical part of my brain that understands the steps it takes to be good at something. And then there's a visual aspect of my brain where I would just envision these extreme moments of my life and live them. There's so many moments that I have been before where I was just in them. I'm like, yeah, I know what's good. I'm here. This is amazing. And just envisioning maybe somewhat delusional things is really where I grew that inner confidence. And I'm just going to call you she's a caregiver, business partner. We were just talking about this at lunch. real self-love and real self-confidence, like where does that really come from? Is it the amount you trust yourself? Is it how good you are and you see how good you are? Is it the work you've put in when you were terrible?
Right.
It's a mixture of all those things,
Right.
and visualizing what you need and what you want. And I think I really still do that and honed in on that when I was young. You have to put in hours, put in countless hours, still do, of the craft, right? But there's a little something fucking else that's occurring in life, as we all experience, that I try to lean into, and it's like really visualizing those moments and feeling love and confidence in that. And fuck everyone,
Right.
because they might not like it, but like then a week later they do because someone else likes it.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Right.
Humans don't make sense, so fuck them. Just love them,
Right.
and make what you need to make, and then cuddle one you love.
And
And then you'll die.
And then you'll die.
I promise.
One of the only things guaranteed in life.
Mm.
But, you know, you talk about these heroes here, and these heroes of yours are people that, you know, as you describe, aren't thinking about what everybody else thinks, and they're getting on stage and are expressing themselves in only ways that they can. Who are these heroes? You've mentioned the word heroes a few times, but I'd like to get a few names.
Prince was really my first live act that I saw that changed my life. He's a huge figure in my life. Stevie Wonder, Bach, Mozart, Sting, The Beatles, Sly and the Family Stone, Miles Davis, Cannibal Adderley. I really go down many avenues of music, but one thing that I have observed myself that I'm obsessed with and that I love is a very intense attitude of just doing it.
Yeah.
There's lots of different musics and lots of different energies, but my heroes often are the ones who really go and just Hendrix. Like, oh
Hendrix,
my God,
yeah.
God of mine. He saved my life so many times. I was just in school, just like blaring him. I got to work in his room 3 days ago, and I like, summoned him in Electric Lady. I was like,
oh, you were an Electric Lady?
Yeah, for about a
Wow,
week, which
wow.
was beautiful. Yeah, those are some motherfuckers that I worship, and they were human.
Yeah, superhuman, some of them. Wow. So, you know, you're mentioning you were just in New York at Electric Lady, Hendrix's studio. What does a good studio bring to your creative process? Because, you know, a lot of people choose to record in the safety of their bedroom. Some people like to go to Abbey Road. Some people go to Electric Lady. Like, what does going to a place like that put into you and then into the music?
It's a really good question. I think at different times, environments affect people differently. Me personally, I'm extremely sensitive to my environment. I'll walk into a room and walk straight out sometimes.
If it's not like...
I don't know.
Just the energy's not right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Energy's a word. Something happens that I can't handle. But it's so important that it could just be a room with a piano that is the channels open. You just make... I do a lot of my songs just on the piano before I record. Sometimes it's the sonic excitement that will make a song. But the truth is, songs don't care where you make them. You just have to be open to them. And I think there are some rooms that are really little and gross that I love, and then I've been into these recording studios with like, this is the Rolling Stones guitars, and then we have this person's collection right here, and then Ringo played these drums, and then this Rhodes, this motherfucker. I'm like, oh, I don't care. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck? I don't care. Now I feel all their insecurities of what they were trying to make. Like,
right.
Where's the new cleanse energy? So we have a New York studio that is like relatively new, that is clean, but also like has beautiful old energy. Look, it's important. Everyone's different. I recorded my first or second EP, Weatherman, in a house, and then we brought it to Mike Dean and we made it what it is, how we lacked in certain recording techniques. But realistically, the Weatherman intro piano, that's recorded on a fucking iPhone.
Wow.
We didn't have an engineer at the time.
You just make the most of what you have.
Yes.
and have accessible to you, and sometimes the best things are spontaneous.
Yeah, and I've been in the studio by myself, big studios, and just like bleeding nothing. It's a trade-off of energy sometimes, and you're forced and you'll make some shit, but it's not what you need to make because you just can't sometimes in those environments. And people get really terrified when that happens as a creative. They'll be like, what the fuck, like I had a day. Like, no, that's part of it. There's an energy that wants you to not make it, and you have to kind of fight it and be fearless. It can't hurt you.
Now, obviously, you've been around for a while, but the waves are starting to The waves are starting to take off, bro. They really are. How would you describe, I guess, the change or the evolution in your sound over the last few years? Has it changed?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed for sure. I think me not having a debut album out, there's a space in my mind where I'm not showcasing a lot. You know, I think I made all of the songs that you're referencing to when I was a teenager.
Wow.
So, quite honestly, I haven't been in that mindset for so long, and I've been working on my debut album for a sec conceptually and with a lot of moving parts. I mean, look, I have an overall sonic kind of goal that's a 12 album piece. I kind of know.
Interesting. Okay, you have that
I
far
have
ahead.
it. I have it that far ahead, but I also, when I die, I have albums that I want to be released in 100 years, set in time. I have a bunch of ideas that require a lot of recording. But when I'm alive, 12 will occur.
Okay.
And
It's a good number.
It's a good number.
It's a solid number.
It's a solid number. We're at EP2 right now.
Okay.
You see where my mind is.
No, well, we like EPs though.
We
EPs
like
are good.
EPs. We like EPs. What are EPs? I don't even know what the fuck they are.
Extended plays, bro.
There you go.
Extended plays. But you know, the thing with an EP is you know, you get kind of the best of
course.
you know, a situation.
showcase.
It's a showcase
For sure.
of an artist.
Yeah, yeah.
An
That's what it feels like.
An album's obviously something you're looking forward to then.
That's all I care about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's all I care about. But of course, I think the Weatherman EP was like a sonic starting place of what? The start of kind of the theatrical high energy
Yep.
sonic, but there's so many more tempos and so many kind of things I need to do and add, and it's happening and it's beautiful, but definitely changed, but it's definitely a scope of kind of some of that language being embedded in a simple form, you know?
It's a great, I think, showcase of what you're capable of. I want to talk about the EP because obviously the single Weatherman was out last year, but then the EP was out this year, right?
Mm.
You mentioned Mike Dean, obviously getting involved there with the mix. Pinch yourself type situation, right? Like kid from Australia over here, Mike Dean's, you know, mixing your second EP. Like what, bro?
He actually mixed my first one too, bro. He's the grandfather. First of all, Mike Dean, you already know I love you. He's one of the most exciting people. Meaning, like when I walked into his studio for the first time, he was like, "Look at this! Look at this! This is what we're gonna do. See this track? We're gonna fucking run it through." That he's still obsessed.
Wow. That's what
to
you
this
want.
day.
That's what you want.
This is Michael Jackson, and we're gonna fucking, of course. And I was like, "Oh my god! Like your love for this is so inspiring and so beautiful." But yeah, man, I've had quite a lot of those pinch me moments, and I've lived through them. Sometimes not appreciating them, and sometimes being completely overwhelmed by them, and that's part of it.
Now back to the EP. You're a storyteller through and through. I mean, this EP is a story. You're telling us a story. How important is a good lyric to you?
It's everything. I mean, you know, if the music doesn't match what you're saying, it's just this weird marriage. And it's like sometimes the most random, outlandish thing feels so good, and sometimes the most simple thing under the warmth of a simple chord is just like the best thing ever. No one knows why or how, but lyrics, I mean, are really important. I've had very interesting experiences with lyrics. I've written songs in different perspectives, and then they've meant something else. Music is fucking crazy. Lyrics are very important.
I agree.
Is what I'll say.
Well, no, you know, it's interesting too because like people, you know, you could write a lyric now and then it would evolve over time. You know what I mean? Wow. Like the meaning of the song.
That's spot on.
You know, last Friday actually I was speaking to Ringo Starr and I asked him the question, is there a song from your catalogue that, you know, has evolved over time in terms of what it means to you?
Wow.
You know what he said?
Wow.
Nope.
Oh my god. See, he doesn't give a fuck.
Isn't that the most Ringo answer you could possibly imagine?
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm trying to be.
Back to the lyrics. Is there a lyric that you've written on this EP that speaks the most to you, that you're most proud of? Is there one that when you listen to the EP back, you're like, dang, I did something pretty good there?
Ooh. I write all of my lyrics with Kid Culture. Should be said first.
Okay.
He's an amazing lyricist, and I think he absorbs my nature and energy, and it comes out in a very beautiful way. I think there's a few. I think maybe from Weatherman, I was caught up in my past life, noticed some things you cannot change. I think experiencing things and having these thoughts. Some things are just human. You just have to let go. I think a song, Amnesia, there's a lyric, see it in my eyes, I can't understand stupid things for cash. That's a multi-band meaning thing. Personally, what I was going through is my friend had been murdered, and in a gunfight in Los Angeles. It's important to say. A friend from Australia, actually.
Oh, sorry, bro.
No, man, it's okay. That's life.
I mean, it's not okay, but you know.
It's not okay. Guns aren't okay, but that's life, right?
Wow.
You're meant, you do die. That song was about that, and that kind of stretched into many meanings of my life. He was in a bit of there was a lot of shit. There's actually shit I can't even talk on because it's still going in a court case, but material money concept, I've seen it fuck with people. I've seen that energy trying to come and fuck with me. I've also just been so confused by so many people's decisions that I've been close with that I know I didn't say much just now, but that lyric means a lot to me.
It makes sense, bro.
And the simple one, your presence is a gift.
That's nice.
That's in Only You. That was
nice.
a kid line, but your presence is a gift. That's pretty. Yes, sir.
And I mean, like, well, the thing is, like, you
God.
take personal life stories, as you were talking about, some real heavy stuff, and kind of turn it into this music.
Yes.
How do you balance, I guess, the vulnerability that's required in songwriting, but also the need for, like, personal privacy? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you find that line of, like, what you want to say, what you don't, or is there none for you, and you just kind of...
I've been very private this first 3 years. I'm about to relinquish that completely.
Don't give up too much, though.
I don't really give a fuck, bro. I've made this decision. Believe me, I've thought about this hopefully more than you, because I'm about to do it. But, it is important to have private. I don't even know what privacy is really. I was scrolling down my TikTok and I had seen an article that me and my girlfriend had broken up. I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't even know what that is. Like, there's a song called This Place and Amnesia on the EP that is just, I wasn't gonna put out because it's too close to me, but I'm gonna die. I don't care.
Just get the story out.
Just get the story out. Be real.
Yep.
What else is there?
Yep.
I have no idea.
No, good on you. I think it's important that you're telling these stories because, it's, what's interesting about being an artist and being someone that creates content and can have something out in the world for people to consume is that, you're, 21 now, as you say, and then in 15 years' time, going to be a bit older, and you're going to have this EP, which is going to be a staple of this time for you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
Do you think of it in that way? Like,
I do.
the stories that you're telling now and releasing now are a staple of this time?
I do. And I think that's how I relate to music is like, I think my generation would call them canon events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they sure would.
They are core occurrences that change your life. That's all I can write music about. It's definitely a stamp on the time. I think, Jesus, man, that album, I went through so much getting brought into this world and just making some songs because I like making songs.
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely stamps time periods, but again, like, being an adult, being a 21-year-old, I'm like, albums, 12 songs is really needed for a year of life.
Yeah, this
And
man
this
is gagging for an album, and
just, please.
he's gagging for it.
I'm in there.
He's in the zone. Well, you were just at a studio, bro, so I feel like it's
Right,
coming even sooner
You're
than
like,
people can
"Oh,
even
you've
imagine.
Been in there for a sec."
He's been in that
You
studio.
feel my vibe. I'm in there.
Yeah, you're in there. Good for you, bro. It's cool that you're taking those steps to continue to tell the story, and you're not slowing down.
No.
Do you know what I
They'll
mean?
have
Like,
to kill me
before you slow down, exactly. Now, coming from, as I say, Aussie to over here, culture shock to the extreme in a way.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most unexpected thing that the journey has kind of taught you?
Yes. Good shit. Good shit. Human beings are really... You can't fuck with them. You can't... And what I mean by you can't fuck with them is you have to be so fragile with everyone.
Interesting.
That's really what I've learned. I think I've known my superpower. I'm very confident in that. Da-da-da-da-da. That means nothing if you don't know how to treat a human being.
Respect, bro. Respect.
Of I had moments where my ego's extremely inflated and this and that, and I have so much pressure and I'll lash it. That can't happen. And I think the people, you have to just love the people you're around. I've definitely experienced this part, so much pressure, the culture shock, millions of dollars being invested into you, music, songs, this person likes you, this person said you said this. Like, human beings, you just have to have empathy and love and compassion. I can tell you things I learned in the studio and talking to this goat, they told me this, like, of course, but like, actually is learning how to treat people in a creative environment is, one, extremely difficult and takes a lot of learning, but two, that's how you make art. That's what I've learned.
That's so interesting. People are, everybody's living their own life, everybody's got their own story, everyone's got their own journey, and you don't really know what everybody's going through. So I like the way you say you just have to treat people with the empathy needed, and I think there's a connection to be had with everybody, no matter how big, no matter how small. You meet someone random and you think you have nothing in common with them, I promise you could find something. Do you know what I mean? Like, you like the same flavor milkshake, like you found that, you know what I mean? Like, there's always something to connect with, something with people on. And I think that's cool that you're able to see that at such a young age, something that most 21-year-olds, probably me at 21, wouldn't have been able to see. And part of that is probably because I feel like, although you're 21, you've probably lived many a lifetimes within that time, and that teaches you things a lot faster than any school or education in a way could. Now, obviously, your social media presence is huge. People are watching you from all corners of the world. Does feedback from your fans on social play any part in your creative process at all?
Got brought into it all nuts. Like, my relationship with that, like, if I meet someone who listens to my music, I'm like I had this mom yesterday, like, I was in Malibu just like ordering a smoothie, and she was like, little mom, she was like, hi. I'm like, oh fuck, like something's happened to this woman, like, what do we have to do, like are you okay? Like, literally, I was like, okay, like, she's walking up, like, what's about to happen? And she was just like, I love your music, whatever, beautiful. And like, that is a crazy thing that I'm still just really getting used to. And Instagram and social media was even different 2 years ago when I was posting covers and this and that and this and that. I think everything's absorbed so differently now, and you're doing a disservice to yourself if you listen to anyone. They don't want to hear what I want them to hear.
Right.
What the fuck is that?
Right.
And who does that? There's a lot of people who fucking do that, and you do it. We're in a business, right? I know everyone's sitting in their office, like, trying to figure out, like, what song? Oh, this song sounds like that song. You should cut that song. You can't. Of course, you have to talk to people who love your music. Like, that's I also feel like it doesn't have respect. The fan thing, right? It's like, my fans, like, these are individuals who consume your energy on a daily. That's insane, and that's like the most special thing ever. So I take it very seriously in the sense where it's like, when I make something that's not truthful, it's like, I hate it so much because that someone's gonna absorb that, and it's not real or truthful, or it's a weird thought, or it's a but I definitely am not looking at Instagram comments being like, oh my god, right. John said I'm like cringe.
Right.
Because John, I love John.
Yeah, we all love John. But we all love John.
Yeah.
But that's interesting too, because like, people will always have something to say, and it's interesting as well. You mentioned that mother in Malibu who came up to say hi, and it's like, you could have millions of followers on social media and see millions of comments, but until someone comes to your face and says something like that, I don't think it really registers with people. Do you know what I mean? Like, even with me, I might be out and about and someone comes up and say, oh, I love this interview that I saw, and it's like, wow, like, it's a different situation than seeing, thousands of tweets. When someone actually comes up and says something to you, it's like, oh wow, like, you can put a real person to the person who's enjoying your work, right? Sure. So that's cool that lady did that.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, and I think all experiences I have in that regard is like just the most amazing thing. I've also been around immense fame, full stop.
Yeah.
What does that mean? I don't even know, but I was brought into this world, through people who have been in this game for a long time and were like, yo, this is this. So I've also seen mindsets that have been doing it for a long time. Maybe they're not healthiest. My friends, certain things where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to develop a different relationship. I've just started. No one knows me. I could give a fuck. I'm gonna try to do this really healthily. And I think that's one thing that I've really tried to gain is like, I played right after Ed Sheeran at Wembley, and then the next day I had my first sold out headline show, which was 250 people in London the next day.
Wow.
So like, I can't think about it. Just make music, and if anyone shows you anything, love them for it, because they shouldn't, and it doesn't have to happen.
Right. You mentioned, being surrounded by fame and this and that, and that's part of the world and part of the biz, but how has being surrounded by that and meeting people and seeing people changed your perception on what you want, if that makes sense?
Wow. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Yeah. I've definitely been through some really intense moments with people who I thought those things may have been the answer. I think I've seen people come through some of the most crazy things and be so stable and healthy and able to do it too. They just want to sing. And so much kind of gets added, but I don't think it's changed anything. I've stood next to some of my closest, most amazing, successful friends who have taken me under their wing, and I've had conversations with myself. I'm like, I want this, and I know what I'm going to do differently to ensure that I don't go through some of these things. But again, it's just the love for the art. I think those things, people are silly. Like, some video will get 100,000 views, everyone's like, oh my god, this person, then they forget about them next week. Like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't fucking matter. And I think, like, if you try to think on all those things, I'm still so new to this game. What I mean by game is putting out music and having this weird worship ideology of a human being, which doesn't exist. And yeah, it's not real.
No, it's not. But, it is interesting because you are in a situation now where people are pretty rapidly starting to listen to your stuff and watch your content and things like that. But obviously that's not something that you let affect you, right?
I really try not to. I think, like, if you sit there and, like, again, it's just with the music. I think I was talking to my friend, I can't say who, well, I guess, like, oh, Jesus Christ, I need to shut up. She was like, you sit there and, like, you think about this video, why did this video get 2 million views, and then only this one got 1 million, and then that's the most death game of all time. And me personally, being 5 music videos in, being like whatever amount of content in, it's just kind of like everyone just has to make stuff. And I think, like, letting that side affect me, being next to people who have been doing this for 10 years, and then meeting people who are just starting, who I believe in just as much. Like, it's the soul energy of a being that is the definer. Like,
Oh, I know, bro.
When you look, know.
Yeah.
I know you know right now. So it's like, that's the thing that matters. And yeah, energy is, you can't buy energy.
I agree. You got to surround yourself with that good energy, because that's how you keep going.
Yes.
You mentioned people that have been in the game for a long time that have taken you under the wing. Biebs, obviously, Justin Bieber being a big part of that. You opened for the Justice Tour. What's an experience like that, getting on a stage? People are out here to hear these hits that they've loved for their whole life, and you have to be before that. What goes through your mind in a situation like that?
It's like, are you built for this?
Really?
Are you willing to not give a fuck and be confident enough to go and sing songs that nobody's ever heard? That's the thing, right? Like, music is cool. There's artists, you do this, you make songs, and get on a fucking stage and sing with a guitar. Play some music. So that was my mindset. It's like, performing, truthfully, is my favorite thing of all time. I have so much energy. It's my greatest kind of gift I feel like I was put on the earth to do. But right before, I think one of the first stadium shows, someone said to me like, "Oh my God, that was like 40,000 people." For me, that was right before Justin. Like there wasn't like, it's not in this. There were 40,000 people right there.
Wow.
So like that was my first. Played like 4 stadiums before Wembley, so I kind of had this like this run up of like stadium vibes. And I remember someone told me, "How are you?" It was just me. I had no band, right? I just had released Weatherman, my first single. It was just me, and someone said to me like on my team, like, "How are you gonna? You must feel so small. You must feel."
Why would they say that?
Because people are fucking stupid. You know what I turned to them and said? "Are you kidding me? The reason I make you feel uncomfortable all the time is because I'm meant to explode on that. That's my journey. That's what I meant to do." And then after the first show, they were like, "What the fuck?" Like, okay, wow, we really get that. But that's their own fear. Everyone goes through their own fear, right? But it's, you know, when you're side stage looking at this thing of human beings looking down on you,
Crazy,
and then just flat, endless beings, it's like it would terrify most people. For me, being in a crowd in a room with 15 people, I can't do it.
Really?
I shut down.
Really?
Everyone has their different things. Being in front of
I believe that.
any crowd, I love. An intimate crowd, different energy. The biggest crowd in the world, Super Saiyan energy, or close it. I'll sit on the stadium stage and try to draw it into me. Like, you know, I think delusion.
Delusion, but
Again,
also,
to go back to that thing, like I really meant that. I can feel this whole thing, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" Like Justin has fire and the craziest show. But guess what? When he started out, guess what he did? He filled the fucking universe with his energy. That's what an artist is, you know.
But there's also, you know, a certain amount of, you know, you go out onto that stage and you're ready to prove yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that is, you know, sorry to keep barking off about it, but someone that moves halfway around the world, like you have that energy and that motivation that you're just ready to get out on that stage and prove, this is why I'm here, this is why I came here, this wasn't a mistake, this is why, you know, I'm opening for JB right now. Like,
Yeah.
I can imagine that was something for you, that you were like, I'm ready to prove myself, right, when you get on that stage?
Yeah, I think there's a difference. There's two people, right? There's people who prove themselves for other people, and there's people who prove themselves for them. And they're very different people. They're actually the most different you'll ever meet. And I have a belief and proving and knowing in myself that's a self relationship that isn't predicated off making anyone else happy.
Yeah.
And that extremism pushes me to places that others won't go.
Right.
Because, oh really, you don't think my energy's gonna fit? What do you mean you don't think my energy's gonna fill up this terrifying thing we've created that is a skyscraper of people looking at just me?
Right.
What do you mean? Or it's like, no, I have to prove to myself I can do it, because I'm not a neurologist, as Conor McGregor said, right? Like Conor, he's there fighting for himself. He's fearful. Of course he's fearful. He's fighting the most terrifying beings in the world, but he's doing it for him, not for anyone else.
Yeah.
And that level of creativity and extremism is what I think is the difference.
And, you know, huge fan base worldwide, only to get bigger, including quite a lot of famous fans. I saw Chae Young from Twice posted
Bro, I was just
the
with
K-pop
you.
group.
Oh, bro, I was just with her.
She's great. Yeah, I do a lot of K-pop stuff.
Oh, really? Can you? I don't know much about that world. I went to the show.
That's
and I was
fascinating, bro.
So I mean, you know, I love you. You're my homie. But I was definitely like, wow.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
great. It's a whole other world. I started my
Man,
first
I wish
K-pop.
I could say some shit that's so crazy right now. But I can't.
My first K-pop experience was interviewing BTS in 2017. Who were they? You know, that changed, you know, my life.
Wow.
And started getting into the K-pop scene a lot more.
Everyone loved it. Like, yes!
Well, it was amazing, you know, like, you know, they were the underdogs at the stage, you know, at the time, nobody really wanted to touch it. And, you know, I was one that was like, I'll never forget the email their publicist sent me. They said, I promise you they'll be big. And, you know, every publicist says that and thinks that act's going to be the biggest thing.
Wow.
But something about that, I was like, I'm going to take this.
Wow.
This just seems interesting. And, I mean, you know, they're ridiculously huge now, the biggest thing on the planet. And they deserve everything. And you know, the last time I saw them was last year. And they haven't changed as people, you know.
Wow.
No matter how famous they got over that time, they've stayed exactly the same humble humans. And I think that is probably part of the reason of their success. And part of the reason that they together, you know, are just so beautiful as a group, but you know, as I say twice, you know, probably one of the biggest K-pop girl groups in the world at the moment. When someone like that posts, you know, on their story in support of your song, what does that change? Do you know what I mean? Does that change anything? Does that bring a lot of new eyes and a lot of new ears? Like, what's the impact of something like that?
I have no fucking idea. I was making Shawn Mendes' album when I saw that on my phone. I was in the studio. I said, thank you. I love you. I reposted it and put that shit the fuck down.
Right. You just didn't want to be a part of the,
I mean,
the craziness that was about to ensue.
I don't know. What is the craziness? Like, I've experienced that, like, spamming comments. I've experienced not that. I've experienced... It's always fluttering and changing. I think that initial connection, like, I have a great friendship with this person now. We connect on, like, what it is to be an artist and to perform, and that was honestly the start of a beautiful friendship. Like,
nice.
But honestly, I try not the game aspect part of it, the what it brings. I feel like at this time my life is too I have a lot of responsibility. In that specific moment, I was really locked in, and I couldn't even absorb it. Wow. Just to give you a real example.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
you know,
like, for sure, because it's like, you know, I know artists, you know, that would die to be posted by something like that, but it's nice that you have kind of that mindset,
and that's
right?
That's what I'm saying, though. That's what that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just, I don't know if I was ever, like, taken back. I wasn't ever, like, rocked by anything, because I really had a sense of knowing. Like, I remember when Sia reposted my video for the first time, I was, like, beyond taken back, but I was like, yeah, like, we're gonna be really close.
But also part of it, you know, is, I think, you know, knowing that you deserve this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, it didn't come to you easy. That record, the EP, wasn't easy for you to make, and you're just, you know, enjoying the fruits of your labor now.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure. Or, like, if anything, for me, I feel like I could be just, again, just you. Right now, I'm in a stage where just slowing down and connecting and, like, really absorbing what you've done. And that's it. I say that example, right, of, like, someone so talented and huge repost your work, and when you don't get to absorb that, it's frustrating. Or not frustrating, you have to reevaluate what it really means to you. And it's like, wow, this person with such an amazing platform loves my work. Like, that's really crazy. And I did, like, have a moment of where, like, wow, my friends reposted this is beautiful. But at the same time, I think I was always so focused. I don't want to say I got, like, I'm not sure.
You didn't let it frazzle you.
Nothing. I frazzle myself. No one can frazzle me.
Yeah. No, good. That's a good mentality to have, and I think it's important, and it's only going to get bigger. Just to wrap things up, where are you taking this? Where's the eyes set? You say you've got 12 albums in mind. You kind of know that direction of things, but where's your journey going to take you?
I will showcase this generation an energy, an analog energy, a songcrafting energy that hasn't been showcased in a long time, mixed with the newest technological advances musically and creatively. I just think recorded music is so young.
Yeah.
And people try to define what it is, what this is, what you can do. I laugh at people when they tell me what someone can do. I'm like, this has been around for almost one lifetime.
Wow.
You guys are fucking hilarious.
Right.
So when I say that to say, I have so many kind of outlandish ideas that I want to bring to the entertainment side of making songs and music, but truthfully, I just want to expose this generation to a mixture of everything we love about music, and that usually translates to when it started in the 60s, 70s, 80s. That love that everyone had for each other and drama created the music that we love. And it's not just writing sessions in LA, people meeting for the first time. How you doing? Let's write a song that sounds like this, because they are having success with it, because they paid $50 million to have it on a billboard. Okay, great. That's a lot of this world.
Right.
I'd kill myself. Like, just straight up, it's not worth it. Nothing's worth it when it's fake. Nothing. Everyone in school sitting there, like, I was like, this is fake. What is this? So I'm definitely just focused on being one of the greatest musicians of my generation.
Cool, bro.
And showcasing chaos and love on stage and with albums.
Chaos and love. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice way to end it. Eddie, bro, such a pleasure. So nice to sit down. So nice to meet you, man.
You're a legend. I really love your energy. Your
Thank you,
questions
bro.
are beautiful.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
And this isn't the last that we're going to hear of
We
you.
gotta
And
tap in. We gotta do a yearly catch up.
that's you know what, I feel like this is
every
going to be.
6 months. We gotta do
Yeah.
we gotta do
Yeah,
that. I would
because-
you gotta come to the studio.
I'd love to.
You would fit right in with the gang.
I would love to
Not just 'cause
see
of
the
your
mindset.
hair.
No, everyone else got long hair around you?
No, a little. No.
Well, we can work on that.
Some have dreadlocks. It is long though.
It's
Just
long.
different formats of long.
Yeah,
but we
no,
love that.
We love that. We
Yeah.
love that. Such a pleasure, bro. Be safe.
Thank you.
Continue causing chaos and spreading love.
God knows I will. Love
Peace.
you, bro. We did it. Well done, man.